So while we were talking, my friend texted me about her son, and she just said, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here, but Carter just said a prayer to God like maybe God is Santa Claus. Dear God, please bring me a real Power Ranger suit, real gun, real sword, please God. A real bad guy so that I am allowed to really fight someone. Please let me dream about Power Rangers and witches and superheroes. Thank you for the nice things.
How about that? Please let me dream about Power Rangers and superheroes and witches. That's the best. That's the best. That and asking God like Santa for guns.
And then she said that she's just like, I'm taking the remotes to work with me tomorrow.
That would just be like, God, can I have guns? Please bring me guns.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Seth.
Yeah.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he's busy dreaming about Power Rangers and witches.
No, he's reading them, script them all rats. Well, we went this far. We can't do it next week.
Fine. Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he's busy reading a script for a movie that I really liked in high school that probably hasn't aged well. Did you cut out?
No, I stopped thinking.
That's a good choice. But our fourth co-host, Uatu, is here, but is sworn only to watch and never interfere.
Good for him. Today we watched Captain Marvel, which originally premiered on March 8th, 2019, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and screenwritten by Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck, and Geneva Robertson Dworet. Carol Danvers becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between two alien races. Wouldn't that be... I guess that's not three. And I guess... Anyways, what did you think?
Oh, boy. This was a really interesting movie to watch 2 days after I saw...
Black
Widow.
You'll get caught up in the Black Widow.
Yeah, this was an interesting movie to watch the day after I saw Black Widow. This is the third time I have seen this movie.
The movie's so nice, you saw it thrice.
I don't like this movie.
The movie you hate, you saw it thrice.
The first time I saw it, I thought it was fine, and I thought it was fun.
The movie's
the
so
second
fine,
time I saw it,
I'm done.
I thought it was not very good, and this time I thought it was really not very good. This is Shortcut the movie. There is just like shortcuts and just it's just like held together with tape and really sloppy, and honestly it crumbles under like the weight of what it thinks it needs to be. And I hate saying that. It's the same as like not liking Black Panther. It's the same as not really liking Wonder Woman. It's so in like the new Ghostbusters movie, they're all like so built around this central thing of like you're not allowed to not like it because if you don't then you're against this thing. And honestly, I just think it's a bad movie, but I think it's bad because of that. Like, I think it's bad because it's leaning on a lot of that discussion, and it's also, like, doing a bunch of, like, kind of shitty shorthand to make sure that you believe that the character is worth this, that it just feels really false to me. What did you think?
I thought it was boring, and I didn't really care or like it. And like with everything else at this point, I don't know if my feelings are Marvel fatigue or genuine. But anyways, I would like to jump in a little bit here. And I would like to prelude this with we are going to have a conversation. I'm bringing that up at the forefront because you may need to cut this conversation because we need to do a little bit of real talk in here.
Oh, no.
So, Kirsten liked this movie. Well, liked it as much as she likes these Marvel movies. And she said she's biased towards, like, amnesia stories and stuff like that.
I hate the amnesia story in this.
She didn't care for the beginning or end, but she didn't mind the Earth stuff. Anyways, when this was done, I asked her two questions. The reason I was a little late is because we actually had, like, a big conversation. I asked her two questions. Mm-hmm. The first one was, did she know that this took place before all the other movies, and when that point was, if true. She said it felt like it was before things, but it wasn't until they said 89, 95 that she knew that it...
Isn't the blockbuster a dead giveaway? I remember the audience in the theater clapping.
Well, and she said, like, yeah, there's the blockbuster and stuff like that. I only bring this up, and I only asked her because you made a big point about me talking about Spider-Man Homecoming, and I was like, I have no idea when this movie is. And you're like, well, wait till you see Captain Marvel. I actually think Captain Marvel did a fantastic job by showing Blockbuster, Radio Shack, beepers, phone booths. I think it did a very, very good job of knowing when it takes place. Granted, it also has the benefit of not being literally like 2 years before, taking place 2 years before the other movie that Spider-Man Homecoming did. But I just wanted to bring that up because that was a running thread that you kept bringing up to me. The second question I asked her, if she felt that this was a girl power movie, because that was the big thing that everybody hated, was that, one, I think the running narrative is that man children just hate Brie Larson, because at one point she's like, I don't care what 50-year-old white dudes think of this movie that's not targeted to them, and they're like, why does Brie Larson hate white men? And I asked her if it was girl power, and she said she didn't really feel that. And then we got in this conversation where I said, maybe it's because I'm a straight white male, and you're a straight white female, but the montage at the beginning, where everyone's just like, it's called a cockpit, and you're a weak woman. What are you trying to do, weak woman? Do man things? Felt a little heavy-handed to me. And she said, go ahead.
Sorry.
Nope, you go ahead. This is a good time for you.
I think the entire movie is heavy-handed, and I don't like having this discussion because
that's why I said we can cut this, but this is a discussion I wanted to have with you.
We got to say it. There's no way to not talk about this movie like this. There's no way to honestly talk about this movie without bringing this up. I think this movie is extremely heavy-handed, and I think that's why the movie really doesn't work for me, because it is so bogged down by its need to prove itself. And I'm not saying, like, I know the message of the movie is she has nothing to prove. And I'm not saying that the movie is like a bunch of women sat down and said, we got to stick it to the men. What I'm saying is, like, it is in the movie's DNA to be aggressively, like, counterpointing arguments that it's not experiencing yet. Like, it's happening, like, when the movie's being made and everything, but, like, it feels extremely aggressive. And, I mean, like you said, I'm a straight white guy. Like, maybe that feels a little targeted. Honestly, I don't feel like that's something that would, like, trigger me, or, like, if I would feel targeted by it and feel threatened by it, I don't feel like that's the kind of person I am.
So this is the conversation I had with Kirsten.
I am someone who very much would rather see female superheroes and stuff, and I as we've talked outside of this show, like playing video games and
we are. I mean,
reading comics.
We are fairly
I am
accepting.
much more interested.
We are, and I say fairly only in the sense that, like, I'm sure I make missteps. I'm sure you make missteps. I think we both genuinely try to be as accepting as we can, and if we are not, we try to understand how we can better ourselves. And when I was discussing this with Kirsten, I was in this weird spot where I was like, I feel like I'm on the wrong side that I'm usually on. Like, and I don't know why. Like, usually I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, all these stupid idiots that are just like, stop putting non-straight white male stuff in the movies. Stop shoving it down. It's the argument of, like, you have a character that's just like, I'm gay. And everyone's like, why even put it in the movie? And then they're like, this whole character is that, like, they're gay, and that's a major point of the character. And they're just like, why does every gay character need to be, like, a living stereotype? And that's a different argument. But, like, the answer is that, like, oh, I get it. You just don't want gay people in your movies. And I had, like, a weird moment where I didn't really know where I was coming from when I was talking to Kirsten. Because I felt, at the beginning, when everyone's, like, doing their casual sexism, that it felt heavy-handed. And Kirsten said, no. I said, I think she might have said maybe a little. But there was a distinct difference where I said, I don't know if this is just like me being a straight white man, and I'm like, this feels heavy-handed, whereas Kirsten's sitting over there going, hey, I'm a straight white woman, and I can relate to this. And she said, yeah, I can relate to that. And she brought up a good point that I didn't really have a counterpoint to, so maybe you will, where it's very similar to Captain America. Where at the beginning of Captain America, everyone's like, you're so weak, Captain America. And all the girls are like, look at this scrawny dude.
So, am I allowed to interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I see the point of the Captain America thing, and it's not inaccurate. I will say, to a counterpoint, the problem here is everything in this movie is told, not seen. I like Brie Larson. I've seen her in other things that I quite like her in. I think she's terrible in this movie.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't really think it's her. I think it's the direction, and I think it's the script. Her character, Carol Danvers, does not exist. That's why I really hate the amnesia stuff in this, because she doesn't exist. She's not a character. Everything about her is told to us. There's that scene with her friend and her friend's daughter where they just like, hey, hard cut, jumping into the movie. We're just going to continue this discussion there. Here's my cut. There's that bit where they're sitting in her friend, they're like pulling out photographs, and she's like, there's your dad, you didn't get along with him, and it's all just like stuff is told, and that's what the entire movie felt like to me. It is just people telling us that, you're the strongest person I ever knew, Carol, and even before you could shoot lasers out of your fists. And it's just like, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying I don't see it. I'm only told it.
Well,
like in Iron Man, as much as I fucking hate Iron Man, like I understand who he is as a character because I see him. I see him act like someone, and I see people how they interact with him, and they're reactive to him. They're not instructing him. They're not telling him who he is or who he should be or how they make, like, it's a weird discussion because like you said, like, this is a hard thing to talk about. I worried that Black Panther was going to be a worse conversation than it was because I don't love that movie, but I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. But I don't feel the problems with that movie are its, for lack of a better term, like, its blackness. I don't think any of that stuff is really a problem to the movie. The problem with the movie is just Marvel problems. It's just bloated and it's full of, like, the final act is not good. I think it had an opportunity for a really cool spy movie and it doesn't do it. But, like, I think the movie at its core is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. T'Challa, I think, is not that much of a character, but he's a character. He's as much as, like, anyone is in their first movie, I guess. But I think, like, there's a story there. It's telling a story. It's setting a theme. It's created a world. There's interesting things to look at. Like, I think there's solid stuff in that movie. I just don't think it really comes together as a cohesive whole. And honestly, I think its problems are that it's Marvel, not that it's Black Panther. This movie, I honestly don't think it really has very many problems that are Marvel. There are some, but honestly, I think the problem is just it's not a full movie. It's an argument in cinematic form.
So I will say, I somewhat disagree with you.
At what point?
In that I don't think there is a ton of quote-unquote girl power in the movie.
I don't know so much about girl power so much as just, like, fuck you. And not even necessarily fuck you patriarchy, but just kind of like, there's a lot of fuck you in this movie. And I guess you could equate that to girl power, and I guess I am, and that's probably unfair. But I think a lot of the girl power is kind of aggressive and in your face. It's not so much like, look at how powerful girls are. Girls can do anything, and more of just like, fuck you for telling me I can't. And like, hey, I agree with that. No one should be telling anyone that they can't, regardless of gender. But I feel like that's the movie's through line. There's the weird, like, gaslighting with whatever the hell the other guy played by the one dude. What the fuck is his name? Jan Rog, played by Jude Law. The weird gaslighting by him. There's the weird thing where he's like, you gotta fight me on my terms for me to accept your whatever, your stance, I guess, your power. There's the weird, like, fighting on his terms. And there's a lot of just, like you said, a lot of it's in the flashback stuff where you flash back to people being like, it's a cockpit, girls shouldn't be on the racetrack, get fucked. But, like, none of that says anything. There's, like, the thing that's supposed to be powerful towards the end where, like, all the different versions of her stand back up after being pushed down by the men. And it just felt hollow to me. And it felt hollow to me because none of that's actually there. None of it's story. It's all put in front of my face and I'm told it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not experiencing it. But if I was a woman who lived through that, maybe I would just imprint myself on that in the same way you can watch a movie with a protagonist that doesn't really have any ideals, or like playing a video game with a character that doesn't speak, like Link. You just kind of imprint yourself on them and you see what you need to see out of it. You want to be a hero, you are a hero, and their motivations or whatever motivations you want to put on them. And I don't think that's bad, but I think as a movie, to stand on its own, this movie doesn't. This movie stands as being a statement. This movie stands as being, empowering. This movie stands as an argument and as a statement, but not as a narrative, because I don't think there's really a story in here. And to counterpoint, like, I watched Black Widow, and to not give any spoilers...
Well, we love Black Widow.
I loved the Black Widow movie. It's currently, I threw it in my list, and I reserve the right to, when we rewatch it for this,
you can
together, to move it. It is currently in my top 5.
Oh, that means it's 5, because why wouldn't you just tell me it's number 3?
It's currently in my top 5, and honestly, it's in number 5 right now, and it's, honestly, I was debating whether it would go above Winter Soldier or not, and I think in the end, it drops just below it, but I think it's very solid. Its only real problem that I had in my initial gut reaction first viewing was just that it's kind of long, and there's a segment in the middle that I think could be cut out entirely. But I think it does that quote unquote girl power well, because she just, she is in all the movies. She's competent. She's really fun to watch. She does a lot of cool stunts, and there is that same kind of there's a message to it. There's a lot of family stuff that I think works really well, but there's also family. There's a lot of stuff that's in this where it's there's definitely some I guess that girl power kind of, I don't want to say crap, that girl power stuff in it, but it's not, I feel like that's all this, that's all Captain Marvel
I really
is.
disagree with
and
that.
I hate saying that.
It's funny, and I mean, I don't know, maybe the more we talk, the more I'll kind of understand, and we might be having one of our famous weird misunderstandings where we're kind of saying the same thing, just with different words. But the stuff with Jude Law, like you say, the gaslighting and the casual sexism of him being if you use your emotions since you're a woman, you won't be able to progress. I actually didn't feel that was too heavy-handed, and was fine with it. I'm fine with the through line of Jude Law being hey, I'm going to keep you down by being you got to control your emotions. And then her whole thing is that no, if she doesn't listen to him, she's strong, she's capable, yada, yada, yada. I actually think a lot of the middle doesn't really have the aggression problems that you're saying it has, or at least I didn't really.
Well, and like you said, where you kind of like that stuff with Jude Law. I think all that stuff.
Well, I
is
didn't
fine.
say that. I said I didn't think it was. Well, it was better than okay.
I feel all that stuff is fine on paper. I think it just doesn't come together in the movie because I don't think there's a story around it. I feel there's an emotion around.
Let me give my side of things. You said your point. I'm just going to try and touch on some things. Again, I think the early montage when she's younger and everyone's you're a girl, you suck. I think that's really heavy-handed. Kirsten didn't. Maybe that's a guy thing. I don't know. I think it's heavy-handed. I do agree with Kirsten that if we were watching this in a Captain America movie where everyone's just you're so weak, instead of saying you're a girl, you'll never make it, and they were just you're weak, you'll never make it, I would be fine with it.
I don't feel that's really equivalent. I see the.
But I also agree that calling it, and again, I really hate being like this, like you, because I don't know what side I'm on. Because I don't want to be the person that's just don't say women in my movies for men. That's not it, but it feels weird. But to touch on some of the stuff you've been talking about, and we'll get more into this later, I think the larger problem with that flashback scene is not necessarily the quote-unquote girl power, but the fact that Brie Larson in this movie is not that girl. Brie Larson is capable. Mm-hmm. She is not the quote-unquote weak woman. She doesn't, from the very get-go, I feel she's not letting the quote-unquote man get her down. She's arguing with her superiors, and
she's a powerful character who becomes the powerfulest. She goes from basically the ending of any of these other Marvel movies where they finally rise up to the circumstance. She starts there, and then at the end, she's like Goku. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, as a Dragon Ball Z fan, I don't like watching Goku. He's too powerful. It's very boring. And I'm also a Superman fan. So
I don't like watching Captain Marvel Goku because I'm just we could have had a Nova movie with a man. But I think my two biggest problems with the girl power is, as I keep, and this should be the last time I say it, beginning montage and the end, no doubt, music video.
I think a lot of the music is on the nose.
Which, I remember we had the discussion with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where I was just man, this is not working for me. And this, Kirsten did agree, as a straight white woman, that the No Doubt music video, when she gets her full powers, was way more than heavy-handed. That was being smashed into the ground by Captain Marvel herself.
I agree. I also think the bigger sin of that scene is that the music starts immediately before they show a jukebox. She gets knocked into a jukebox, or knocks someone into a jukebox 5 seconds after the music starts. And I thought, why wouldn't you just cue it up with that? Why even have the jukebox in the scene if you're not going to cue it up to that? And then you can have your cute little reason why the stupid song is playing, like they do in all the Guardians movies, where Rocket has to say it's time for some tunes. and then they blast some bullshit.
Because I think that was one of the...
Like, I hate it. But
there was other times where the music is in the scene. I do not think that music was in the scene.
No, I agree. What I'm just saying that, like, if they had never shown the jukebox, if he had been knocked into a
space jukebox,
the pinball machine, I would just been like, we're doing the girl power.
It would have annoyed me more, or it wouldn't have annoyed me as much, but it still would have annoyed me if it was instrumental. It was just the lyrics, and I was just like, ugh.
Well, without the lyrics, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it does, because
without
I know
the lyrics,
I
it's
know
not
who
the
Gwen
shortcut.
Stefani, and I know who No Doubt is, and I know what...
See, you do.
That's because I'm a real woman, damn it.
That's what I'm saying, is that the movie is full of shortcuts. It's full of, like, a ton of stupid shortcuts, and there's no actual work being done. It's letting the shortcuts carry all the weight for it.
But that was... I hate to say it, but No Doubt was cringy and eye-rolly. But those were my two major, as someone who went in here and being like, this is the one that people hate because of feminism. I was like, it was really only those two spots for me. The bigger sin is kind of what you were talking about with Black Panther, where I feel like a lot of the shortcomings are, and maybe inherently tied into girl power, but I think a lot of the shortcomings are showing Brie Larson stand up throughout her, like, little doing a little stand-up montage. I think, like, yeah, you can argue that, the girl power stuff at the beginning has a payoff and it matters. Sure, but again, none of that stuff matters to the Brie Larson we actually know, because she seems capable from the very beginning. I don't care, like you said, she doesn't really have a character, so, okay, Marvel fatigue. I am afraid that, I try not to go into these with any sort of, like, I'm going to hate this. I don't know if this movie hit a point where I realize that if I'm not won in the first 10 minutes, I'm out. It's dead on arrival. And this is a bad opening. It is dark and dusty, and I can't tell what the fuck's happening. Stuff is weirdly happening on the planet. And then after that, they go back, and it's like this weird, purposely edited scramble, like memory scramble. And I was just like, I don't care about anyone. I don't care about anything that's happening. I don't care about anyone. And I hit a point where I was like, I can't wait for Andrew to just rub my fucking nose in it. Because I'm going to sit there and be like, I didn't know who anybody was, and I guess I needed a dumb origin story. Because one, I didn't care about the amnesia stuff. And I was just like, why do I care about her? And it's a weird backwards origin.
I agree. This movie, I think, has the least origin and is also the worst origin. Like, you could argue the whole movie's an origin, but honestly, like, as far as what we consider the other movies to have origins, and you and I disagree on what the origin is, like, the origin stuff is basically all just that scrambled amnesia plot. Like, that's all the origin is. It's like, she needs to know what her origin is, and the whole movie is wasting time to explain her origin, and then she has her power up at the end, which I guess you could count as origin if you want. Then she becomes officially Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. But like, honestly, her origin is just like, how did she get her powers? And the whole movie is basically wasting time to get to that explanation.
And I guess it's not even that exciting or interesting. Like, no. And that was my thing. Like, Kirsten was saying, like, she was interested when they were on Earth, and she's like, I like amnesia stuff, and it was fun to, like, she's like, I knew Jude Law was the bad guy. But, like, she was like, it's interesting. It's, like, not a complex story. It's not like it's not like 10 movies are all, like, merging together here. Like, it was just like, there's 2 alien races, and, the people she thought was good is not. Like, it's a very basic story. And she's like, I've seen a movie before, and so, like, I know that, like, hey, Jude Law is not the good guy. Like, I get it. And I think, like, because of that, and because, again, I watch this as, like, this is the 21, like, this is Marvel 21. Like, you watch Fast 9. This is the 9th Fast and the Furious movie. This is, like, the 21st Marvel movie, and it's all a series. But it's just kind of like, I don't care about the Skrulls. I don't care about the Kree. Why is Jude Law not a blue Kree? You make a big thing about, like, Carol Danvers isn't one of us. She's not, like, a real Kree. But, like, Jude Law looks just like her. Like, is he also an Earthling? And I know that's petty, but it was something that bothered me. Ben Mendelsohn's Australian accent bothered me, and I think that was just Marvel fatigue, but I was just like, why does this alien have an Australian, like, the heaviest Australian accent? I agree with you. I actually hated everybody almost. I hated Ben Mendelsohn in this. I hated Brie Larson in this.
I think Ben Mendelsohn is fine. The problem is he's having fun.
He's chewing the scenery a
like
little,
he's on set just kind of like put me in my stupid like alien makeup and just
after
let me
sitting
go
in a
at
chair
it.
for hours before he can film his scene, he's just like, okay, let's just have a little bit of fun.
He feels like someone who's just kind of like enjoying his time in the movie.
But he feels at
and that's
odds
fun. And I find
with Brie Larson, I feel.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Brie Larson is a charismatic void, and not in general, just in
Well,
this
I was trying
movie.
to think of like, I honestly was trying to remember where I'm familiar with Brie Larson. Like, I know
She's in Scott Pilgrim.
but I don't remember her in Scott. The one I remember her in is Room, and it's very, very good. And I think she does very well in that.
She's great in Room.
And
Room
so
is
it's not
just a
like
great
Brie
movie.
Larson isn't a good actress. And I agree with you that a lot of it might just be direction.
She's in Kong Skull Island, and you love that
Yeah,
movie.
but not because, I mean, that's one of the weird, like, one of these things is not like the other where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Kong Skull Island, you just go and watch a monkey beat up dinosaurs. That's pretty cool, right? And you're like, okay, but what about literally every other conversation we've had about every other movie we've seen where you've just been like, I don't know, man, I can't handle this action happening. I honestly don't remember Brie Larson. And the only person I remember is John C. Reilly and Tom Hiddleston. And I remember Tom Hiddleston not even doing anything. And John C. Reilly
She's
just
like
being
the third
like,
lead,
having
but
fun.
she also doesn't do
All
anything.
of the humans don't do anything. But like her direction or her take or whatever, she doesn't work with the Marvel wit. Everything feels so weird.
I feel like they're trying. I think it's supposed to be like an aggressive. Like there's that whole like. There's a lot of stuff about people complaining that she doesn't smile in the poster, even though none of the Marvel heroes smile in the poster. There's like that line in the movie about the guy about. I think there's like an aggressive like. It feels like an aggressive take to just be like. You know, she's supposed to be like stoic and sarcastic, you know, kind of like a Tony Stark, but she doesn't, she has no, like she's almost like a robot, except for like, she'll say something snarky and kind of smirk, and then she's back to being a robot again. To the point where like, there are times where I was like, does she not have any emotions? And like, that thing is like something is wrong with her. Like that thing is, that they put in her to keep her powers in check is keeping her emotions in check, and that's why she has like these witty little like one-liners, because that's like when she's like starting to break free from it, and that's why they don't like when she does
I like that theory.
But that's not it. Like, because it is like she's basically a blank robot, except for the times where she gets to do the Marvel snark. But even that like feels weird. And I think some of her deliveries are kind of funny because it is like a complete like ambivalence to everything. She comes off like she does not care. And there's a way to play that character in a way that's interesting. It's just not happening in this movie.
Well, and I mean, it's probably too little too late, but like at the end when she's at Maria's house and she's like being Carol Danvers, not being superhero lady, I think she works it a lot better. It's just so, like I said, I just like really didn't care for anybody in this movie. And I don't think Jude Law did well. I think Sam Jackson did all right.
I think Sam Jackson.
And Sam Jackson just kind of like, he felt like Sam Jackson.
He felt like, again, much like how Ben Mendelsohn just kind of felt like they glued on some goofy crap to his face and he just kind of had fun for a couple days or however long he was on set. I guess more than a couple days. But whatever. Like he just, like it felt like, you know, Sam Jackson just showed up and he was just like, I get to just kind of like have fun. He felt like someone, like he's playing a different version of Nick Fury before he like got all gruff and everything. So he's just kind
he
of
felt like the old like,
seems like
English motherfucker, do you speak it? Like Nick, and I mean, Ben Mendelsohn was probably fine. It was just like, I know he's not the big bad in the movie, but the movie like frames him at the beginning of like, he doesn't feel like a villain, and he's not, but he should have, I guess. Like, he's just weirdly...
Well, he's not a character until we learn that he's not the
And
villain.
maybe that's it.
Like, he's around, but he's not actually a character that we know, like, that we know anything about or have any real interaction with until he's not the villain.
I guess, I don't know. I mean, I read Secret Invasion, and I mean, I know the Skrulls are a thing. I know the Skrull-Kree War is a thing, but I honestly don't have a ton of starting points here. But I think of like the Skrulls and the Kree as like, you know, these are war-torn people, and, you know, Ben Mendelsohn says he's war-torn and stuff like that, and his hands are dirty and stuff, but he doesn't feel that. You know, the Skrulls, I get it. The Skrulls are a warring race, aren't they? I mean, I guess maybe not in this, but like in the do you have any basis of any of this?
Some, but I guess I don't really... We've talked before. You go into these and you go, it's not like what I know in the comics, or I already know this stuff from the comics and I don't need it to tell me again. For me, I go in and I just go like...
What are we doing today, Marvel?
Yeah, I have a framework for what these characters are, and that might help inform what I'm watching, but I watch all of these in a vacuum. Like, each movie, I sit down and I just go like, you tell me whatever you want to do. And I think, like, honestly, on paper, I think the Skrull stuff in this movie is very interesting. I just don't think the movie's very interesting. I like the idea of framing like these characters as villains and then not making them villains, and going off of the idea that like the general Marvel audience, or well, the comic book audience, would believe it even harder than like a general audience would, because they know the Skrulls.
I guess it's something that obviously I'm hung up on. It was just like another weird disconnect of the Skrulls, which if you have this big Skrull Kree war, I understand that like not every Skrull needs to be a mass murdering war machine. But like if you're in this Skrull Kree war, if Mendelsohn is just like, you and me, Brie Larson, like our hands are dirty because we're both like war criminals. And then like they're just kind of like, here's my science officer. He just didn't even think to look at the freaking orbit. And then like the science officer does this like goofy little like raised shoulders, arms out. Like, it just felt like a disconnect of what was happening. I mean, I assume that's just me.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also feel like that's also just kind of a Marvel thing.
Yeah, and that's
like, I think that stuff with the Skrull is the most Marvel-y the movie is, where it's just
that's like the Surtur Thor thing, where he's just like, wait, let me turn around.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the movie's interesting.
I don't either.
I just don't think it does anything right. I think it's a mess. I think it is a mess of a movie. And like I said, I was probably more aggressive from the start because I don't know why. I go into these and I want to have like my not really, like, it's not like I go in wanting to have a hot take, but like I like having my like, here's my thesis statement. And so I form this thesis statement as I'm watching the movie. And when I got to the end, my thesis statement was like, this movie's not good, and it's not good because of the core like argument it's built on. And unfortunately, that just means it's not good because of the girl power. And I hate that that's my argument. And honestly, my argument is not quite that. But if you were to get me to limit it to as few words as I could and as concise, that's what it is. The problem is the girl power. It's not the girl power is a problem. It's the way the movie uses it. The way the movie is built around it. The way that the movie has nothing going on if it's not the girl power stuff. And I don't know. I think it's sloppy. Like, I feel like it's a movie of shortcuts. It doesn't it doesn't show us a character and have us learn about a character. It has a character be told who they are from other people. It's full of like just like
it's show don't tell, or it's tell don't show. Like,
yeah, it's full of like stupid shortcuts. I hate like the two big prequel shit things that it does. I hate the explanation for Fury losing his eye is fucking stupid, and I told you that when you asked if we were ever going to learn how he lost his eye, because at one point he says like, the last time I trusted someone, I lost my eye.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's stupid. Like, as a dumb little gag, it's fine.
I also wasn't really having the cat in
isolation.
Gag. And
but,
it was obviously that, like, the cat was going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. And then I really, it's another thing that's just so dumb. And it's dumb because it doesn't matter. And I guess that's why it bothers me. To me, it's the same as having MJ not be Mary Jane. I forget what her name was in that.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
In Homecoming. But whatever it was, it's the same as that, or it's the same, to me, it's the same as having that, and it's the same as having the cop in The Dark Knight Rises his real name is Robin, and you learn that at the end, where it's like, oh, he was going by his middle name or something stupid like that. Or maybe his middle name was Robin, I don't fucking remember, but it's goddamn stupid. It's the same as that, at the end when he's like looking at the picture, and it's, her call sign is Avenger.
That was a little much.
It's too cute, it's too on the nose for me. Like, I don't care that she's the reason that the Avengers start. That's not what this is. It's just so stupid, especially because Protector is a better name. Avenger is a dumb name that doesn't make any sense.
Unless you watched the movies The Avengers.
No, I'm even just saying, like, as an Avenger, like, as a title for or a name for the team, Avengers doesn't make any sense. Because they are there, basically, that name says, like, we're here to wait until you guys do something and fuck it up so bad that we can't even recover. We can just basically, like, get our revenge. Like, that's a dumb name. And it's fine, I don't care. But it's a stupid name, and the fact that he had it was like the Protector Initiative or something, that's a better name. It's a more well-suited name, and just, it was too cute, it was too stupid, I just don't like it, and it bothers me.
Was that the credits scene?
That was the end of the movie.
Okay.
The mid-credits scene was the thing that takes place during Endgame, where the pager turns off, and then there's like a post-credit thing where Goose barfs up the Tesseract. Which, I was trying to think, where was the Tesseract?
When Red Skull took it?
Before Red Skull took it, and I think it crashed in the plane with Steve?
Yeah. Oh, wait,
so does that mean Steve
I forgot
was Steve unfrozen in the 90s and not the 2000s? No, because he goes to, well, I guess we don't know necessarily when he runs out into Times Square. I'm sure if you look at
what was showing
playing on the billboards or something.
Let's see here.
But like, I think Endgame answers this, though.
In 1942.
I feel like
I'm trying not to read too much.
Well, then don't. Here, let me do it. Because I think Endgame does answer this. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. 1940, it was retrieved by Johann Schmidt, blah, blah, blah. Defeated. The Tesseract fell into the Arctic waters, where it was recovered by Howard Stark. The Tesseract was then kept at Camp Lehigh in New Jersey, where it remained until at least 1970. So I guess Stark found it first. Maybe that was at the beginning of Captain America. I guess I was just wondering, like, when it was recovered from the end of Captain America, and I guess the answer is just like sometime in the 40s.
Yeah.
And maybe we saw that in Captain America, and I just don't remember it.
I don't think it was in Captain America, but there was a thing where Howard Stark was in a submarine or something. Don't you remember? Or like,
I have a faint memory of like maybe them finding it and like picking it up with like a
yeah,
claw
that's what I remember.
from a submarine. And if that's the case, I think that was probably in Captain America. So I guess maybe that's where we last saw. It was just fine. It was just like when it was up in space, and I was just like, how did it get there? Didn't it get like sucked into the thing? And I was like, but I guess S.H.I.E.L.D. had it. So when did S.H.I.E.L.D. get it? And it's fine. It's just like a thing where it's just like I couldn't quite place it, and I was like being like you, where I was like,
What year is it?
it?
Well, I still did the same thing where you're like, okay, so Steve Rogers has it on his plane, he crashes. And I was like, yeah, but like, where did it come from before that? And I was like, oh, wait, yeah, like, Steve did not crash. Steve fought in World War II and crashed and then was frozen. He wasn't frozen and then fought in World War II. But anyways, what do you want to talk about?
Caveman. Oh, boy. So, I mean, we can burn through the movie. That's fine. I don't know how much I have to say about individual
yeah,
things.
I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff.
I have a couple, like, little things that, like, when we hit them, I have something to say about.
I think the only thing I have to say about it is just, like, I thought that was really boring, or, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I mean, like with a lot of these that I've been saying, everything, I'm just so apathetic towards everything. Like, nothing has ever, I mean, for better or for worse, nothing is so bad that I'm just like, this sucks. But nothing is so good that I'm just like, oh my God, that was so good. And so I just kind of end up and I'm just like, that was fine, or didn't really work.
Oh, wow.
The movie takes place in 1995, and we start off with a Star Force member of the Kree Empire,
Jude Law.
Vers,
Oh, wait, yeah.
who's having some nightmares about an old woman and then like something blowing up or something. I don't remember exactly what her memories are. She goes to her commander, Jan Rog. He tells her she needs to keep her emotions in check, and then they have a fight. She keeps doing this like weird smirk thing where she like says like a pithy little one-liner, and then he's like, don't do that. And then like the rest of the movie, she just kind of like stares forward, and she kind of delivers everything with this kind of like, I don't really care about it. Like, she's just like very apathetic throughout the entire movie.
She's just like you said, like stoic superhero woman. She's very characterless. She's like a robot. I mean, she's like if you made an AI and was like, be Marvel superhero woman, that's it. Like, I mean, you don't even have to put woman there. Like, just be Marvel superhero. Like, if I had you get those like AI and we're gonna write it, it's gonna be a Marvel superhero. This is what I feel like it is, and then I feel like the computer reads it.
I hate saying this, and I'm going to regret saying this, but I honestly can't think of a better word to describe it. She's smug. And I don't want to be the guy that says a woman can't be confident in herself, and that's bad, because that's not what I'm saying, but she comes off as so smug.
I think that's kind of fair. And I will say, you mentioned like there was an aggression throughout the movie, and I kind of disagree. Something I didn't think of that I feel like is a little, I mean, you know us white men, we love microaggressions against us. When Fury and Brie Larson are breaking out of going through the air base, and he's like, you let me just play around with tape and stuff? And she's like, I just thought you'd like to do like a man thing. I will say that it wasn't that exact line. It's obviously paraphrased. That felt like an aggression to me.
I was fine with that.
It felt like something that
again,
was just
everything from her, she just feels like so like,
I will agree with the smug.
Above everything. It's weird, and I don't like using that word because I'm using the exact verbiage that's going to get me into hot water, and I'm not like, then I'm going to have to not that anyone listens to this or cares, but like I feel like it's one of those
have
things
fun being
that
canceled.
I have to defend my
if
word
we
choice.
Get canceled, we made it. I think that's it.
But like she comes off as really smug, and like I'm thinking of her appearance in Endgame. There's a bit that's supposed to be like a nice little like thing to have it, and she comes off as super smug, and it's like a tiny little line. And when we'll get to it, maybe I won't feel that way the second time around, but I feel like I
think the problem,
she delivers it.
I'll jump in with you. We're friends. We have the emoji. I can see the smugness, and I think you can have women characters be smug, and it's not like a negative attribute. Like, I mean, I guess, I don't know, is a smug dude a negative attribute? Like, is smug a negative attribute?
And I mean, I guess to get into this, and this is where it's going to get real weird. I mean, like, we talked about Iron Man and Doctor Strange during the Doctor Strange episode, and we said how they're both kind of different. Like, they're the same character, but there's like a different, like, we kind of said, like, if I remember correctly, Iron Man is a dick. Doctor Strange is an asshole. And I guess you could use the word smug to describe
you bringing up
them,
Tony Stark,
because smug is like a weird way. Like, I mean, in a certain way, like, smug is just a kind of a meaner way of saying arrogant. But I don't really think she comes off as arrogant.
I think so.
I think
she feels a little like holier than thou, and
I don't know how I guess that's what it is. I don't know how I define smug differently than arrogant, but I do. I don't define smug and arrogant the same.
I don't know if it's I mean, I agree with you on, I mean, and hey, this might help us get out of hot water. We both hate, I mean, you definitely hate Tony Stark, but neither of us really cared for Stephen Strange or Tony Stark. And I think a lot of that carries into how Brie Larson is portraying Carol Danvers. And I think, I don't know if it's like a direction thing or if it's just Brie Larson being like, okay, like, I have to, you know, I'm the woman superhero and I need to, like, I can't just be the woman superhero. I need to be stronger than the male superhero. And I see that. I see that smugness. I see that holier than thou-ness in the final in the post-credit scene where she shows up and they're just like, she's just like, where's Nick Fury? And it's like this weird thing where, like I said,
I guess that part didn't bother me.
I don't think it bothered me during it, but you kind of talking about the smug thing, like that's kind of what she's kind of like that the whole movie, where she's just kind of like,
I have my thing that I need to do and everyone else.
Yeah, because I can handle, like, and she can handle it.
And I think that's part of it is, like, she is literally the most powerful character in any of these movies yet.
Yeah, she, like, doesn't need
I think that knowledge informed her
Think about it this way, and ignore the Black Widow movie, but, like, Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of Black Widow, like, she's a little cocky, right? She's capable and she knows it. I mean,
I think she's a little cocky. I would say she's confident.
Think about it when she's, like, when she's tied on the chair and she gets the phone call.
Yeah.
Like, there's some charisma there.
I think the smugness comes from, it feels like there's I really hate this conversation. There's a bit of, like,
you can cut it whenever you want.
I don't know, like, no.
Even after, no, I mean, like, later. You can just be like, this is a 20-second episode.
There's a plane or something.
Is it Carol?
For me. Oh my God, she's coming for me.
Brie Larson has no charisma in this role.
But I think some of it, like, some of that smugness is there's like an attitude of, like, looking down on everyone.
And again, I think it's
like talking down.
I think it's that holier than thou-ness, and I think it's just the lack of charisma.
I mean, I agree.
I think that, honestly, like, I think the difference between Black Widow and Captain Marvel is that Black Widow has charisma. I think she's cocky. I think she knows she's capable. I think Captain Marvel is cocky and she knows she's capable. But she's just not charismatic, and so she feels very stilted. She feels very robotic. And I think that robotic mixed with that cockiness and capableness makes her feel very, like, who are you? Like, I mean, even when she shows up, like,
I think maybe some of it is, like, who she's talking to, because that is how she talks to literally everybody in the movie that isn't her friend. That is how she speaks to literally every person.
And I think she's at her best when she's at Maria's.
I'm thinking about it, and at the end of the Black Widow movie, she does have a conversation with someone where I could say she's smug, but I think she's smug in a good way. But she has a point of, like, everything that I would use to define Carol. Like, she's confident, she's in control, she is aware of her power over someone, and she is speaking in a tone that kind of infers that power, I guess. Like, she knows it, and she wants you to know that she knows it. There's a bit in Black Widow where she does that, and it's good. It's really good. It's similar to, like, when she's strapped to the chair, and then she, like, you know, she basically says, like, all right, I'm done with this bullshit in Avengers. It's that same kind of, like, I don't know, cocky is a right word. I would say the chair scene isn't smug. I don't know how I'm defining smug. I just know it when I see it. I would say the Black Widow scene is smug, but it's not.
It's that charisma.
It's not smug in a negative way. In this, like, yeah. I think it's also, like, the guy in that scene deserves it. Like, I would talk to that guy that way. Because that guy deserves it. In this, like, a lot of these people don't deserve it. She's talking to Nick Fury. She's talking
to, I guess, really only Nick Fury. What I was going to say was,
I mean, Nick Fury kind of talks down to her a little bit when he first meets her, because he's in a position of power.
Nick Fury does that to everybody. But, like Nick Fury's smug. I won't deny that. But but
he's not in this movie. He is in the first scene when he walks up to her, and then after he realizes that she can shoot lasers, he's like,
let's
out
go.
Of her fists.
But I mean, and honestly, I think there's a lot of movies with Nick Fury in it that I felt that smugness from him. And I was like, this isn't working for me. Also, I looked it up, just so if you would like to know, having or showing an excessive pride in oneself or one's achievements.
See, I feel like I guess excessive is the key word there, but I guess excessive doesn't do enough for me, for my personal definition of smug.
And it feels a little, I mean, it's that whole area now, it's that, like, I did this, so I'm better than you. And it's just kind of like, okay, but, like, I did this, and so, like, maybe we're on the same page. What I want to keep trying to bring up is, I think a decent amount of this movie, and maybe it's because, like, Sam Jackson is wearing, like, isn't he wearing orange at one point? He has orange. He kind of looks like a 70s cop. I think, like, when Carol and him are kind of going around, it has this little bit of a buddy cop feel, but only from Samuel Jackson's side. Whereas she is just, like, she's not even, like, the straight man. She's just, like...
She is the plot vehicle.
Why are you doing this? Yeah, she's just, like, I don't need you here. Stop making cracks. And that's that smugness. That's that non-charismatic approach. It'd be nice if they felt like they were teaming up. It feels like Nick Fury is like, oh yeah, let's take these people down. And then Brie Larson is just like, why are you here? You're just a peasant. And even, like, when he calls S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's like, hey, I got her. And it turns out that they were Skrulls, or he was a Skrull. Like, she gets on him about that. But, like, Nick Fury didn't know he called the Skrulls after her. And, like, he's just trying to do his part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, he's like, there's an alien here. There's an alien invasion. I'm trying to figure it out. And having her run around is not helping me figure it out. So it doesn't feel out of place, but... No.
So anyway, they're trying to get all the Skrulls because of something. I guess the Kree destroyed their homeworld, but that's a big old secret. They don't know. And the Skrulls capture her. We don't really need to get to how or why, because I don't think there's anything important in there. They are probing her brain to figure out why her energy signature matches the power signature that they're searching for. She breaks out of their machine, but after they discover that they need to go to Earth. Speaking of Earth, at one point when they scan Sam Jackson at the end of the movie, it calls him human. But as I understand it, they're called Terrans in the Marvel Universe, like outside of Earth.
It's the same it's the same stuff where, like, once you're on Earth, regardless of where you came from, you know everything. You're like, I don't know, that's dumb.
Anyway, she crashes on Earth because I think she gets in an escape pod or something. I don't remember how she gets down. Oh yeah, like or did she just straight fall? I remember her being on her own inside the...
Yeah, she falls.
Blockbuster. Okay.
Because she's, like, she's in the ship that the Skrull, like, it, like, breaks up around her, and then she, like, falls out of it.
There's, like, a bunch of weird, like, zany stuff when she's running around, and she's got, like, things on her fists, and she, like, roars at a guy at one point. And there's, like, a thing where I think her delivery's just bad, too. There's a part where she's cornered on two sides, and she's like, does anyone know how to take these things off? And then immediately she's like, no, okay. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with that delivery. I think you needed to sit on it a bit, or like,
well, it's Marvel.
I don't know, sell it a little more. She says it so the same as everything, so apathetic. Like she's even apathetic to her own joke.
If this helps you sleep at night, smug is a synonym of vain.
Okay, I can do that.
And she feels vain, like.
And I don't like saying that because it's fine. Like in theory, it's fine. But I think my big problem with it is Doctor Strange and Iron Man are vain. The problem is the movie knows that they're vain, and being vain is their fault. Like that is something that they need to either overcome or that everybody holds against them.
Captain Marvel's vain is not presented as a negative.
Yeah, her vainness is apparently what lets her go supercharged.
That's like if we watched Tony Stark or Stephen Strange and we're just like, yeah, I just love how he's just like an asshole to everybody. Like he's really doing it well. Like that's the guy. And I mean, sure people are. They're just like, yeah, Tony Stark just like tells it like it is. You know, it's that saying of like, you're not wrong, you're just an asshole. Like, yeah, you don't have to be an asshole. Like you could just let things go. Anyways. I'm just on dictionary.com looking up stuff.
Anyway, somehow she crashes into a Blockbuster at night and then tells a cop about it, and then the cop just like lets her steal from a Radio Shack and then tear apart a telephone, and apparently takes her several hours because then it's like early morning, daylight, when S.H.I.E.L.D. finally shows up, and then the Skrulls attack and she like chases one for a while. When the Skrulls land, there are 4 of them. We only see what happens to 3 of them. One of them just like disappears from the movie. And I noticed this both times I watched it before, and I thought for certain I was just missing something. Maybe I am, but there is Ben Mendelsohn, his science guy, and then the one that dies. And then there's a 4th one that landed that we never see again.
I thought the science guy died.
He does, but he dies at the end.
Oh, I thought he died when Jude Law shot him.
He does at the end.
That's at the end?
I mean, there's the whole, like, it's at the end right before the final act of the Marvel movie.
Right before the
goes
end?
on.
That's the end before the end? Okay.
I don't know. I'm saying, like, that's the end of the fucking movie because it's immediately before the final, like, act that goes on forever.
Yeah, so I would say the final act, that's like the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Okay, regardless, the point is there's only 3 of them that we see. The one that dies early on in the movie, during the chase. Or no, Ben Mendelsohn is the one that's in the chase, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then he gets into S.H.I.E.L.D. There's the guy that's dissected.
It's the one that's dissected. He's the one that dies because he's the one that impersonates Coulson and gets crashed in the car. That's the one that dies. So there's that one, there's Ben Mendelsohn, and then there's the science guy.
Yes.
And then there's one more that landed that we never see ever again.
Were they blown up when Captain Marvel shot the top of the building?
Which building?
Outside the Blockbuster.
No, because that's the one that runs away. That's the one that she chases after.
That's Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just something that bothers me. And I'm sure when we get to the secret invasion that they're going to retcon that. And maybe that was always the plan, that one got away and infiltrated Earth and it didn't know that they became friends with Captain Marvel. And so it started breeding like a rabbit.
Is Ben Mendelsohn Super Skrull?
I don't know what Super Skrull's name is. It's entirely possible.
Do you wish he was Scooper Skrull?
Scooper Skrull. Ben Mendelsohn as Talos and Keller.
But Keller's the S.H.I.E.L.D. guy, I think. Talos is his Christian name.
Talos the Untamed is a fictional alien, blah, blah, blah.
What if he was a real alien?
The character is a well-known member of the Skrulls due to not being able to shapeshift. So he is not the Super Skrull.
Okay. And he can shapeshift.
Yeah. So they're fucking everything up.
I'm a man, baby. I want my comics.
Anyway, there's a whole bunch of bullshit that happens. She steals a guy's bike and goes to a bar because something about her memory.
She goes to a bar and it has like the flashback overlay, like we cared. Like this was a thing that wasn't just told to us.
That's what I'm saying. The entire movie is just telling us bullshit.
It's just like, I don't know. We got to see the Street Fighter machine. I was hoping it was X-Men. I don't know when X-Men came out. I assume before 95. Welcome to Die.
Nick Fury is like, how do I prove that I'm not a Skrull? And then he tells her
this
like,
makes
a whole bunch
no
of facts.
sense.
Oh, it's stupid.
They could have just said anything. She doesn't know who the fuck Nick Fury is.
I know. It's a very dumb scene.
And then he asks her things and then he's just like, yeah, that checks out. What?
Well, I also like when he says, like, how do I know you're not a Skrull? And then she blows up something. And I know that's, like, for a fun little comedy bit. And honestly, any Marvel movie would have done this, so this is not to rag on her even more. But she blows up that jukebox, and then I'm just like, you just, like, blew up that jukebox. Like, that.
I thought she was going to blow up Maria's house when the one guy was like...
How about when Nick Fury, like, shows up in the bar, and apparently, I guess he's known there or something, because he just, like, looks at the guy, and the guy's like, I'm gonna leave. And then Nick Fury very loudly goes, like, I believe in aliens now.
Was the bartender an actual bartender? Like, did he know Nick Fury was there? Was he just like, hey, hold on, I'm just stalling? Or was he just like, wait, who the fuck's this guy?
It's so... And, like, the guy, like, immediately walks out, and he's just like, I did an alien autopsy. I'm a super good spy. Put on this baseball cap. I like I was like, lose the flannel, put on this cap, and now you
look like a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's well known that S.H.I.E.L.D. agents love 9-inch nails. No, like, okay, Nick Fury doesn't believe in aliens, and so when Carol Danvers is like, there's aliens, and he's like, oh, okay, and then he learns that Agent Coulson was an alien all along, and he's like, I didn't think they would come from space. I was going to protect them, but I didn't think they... That seemed weird to me. In a world...
Wait, what?
Nick Fury mentions that, like, he's part of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, like, because he's, like, talking to Brie Larson or whatever, and he's like, I'm part of S.H.I.E.L.D., we protect people, like, we're here to protect the world or whatever from threats, and I just didn't know they would come from outer space.
Yeah.
That seems baffling to me. One, because...
I think this might be comic book Seth having trouble with movie time Marvel.
No, because, like, I don't know, it doesn't seem crazy. We have experienced Red Skull.
We don't know how much of Red Skull is known. That's something that we never really learn.
But there's, like, magic World War II.
See, and that's where, like, I agree with you. Because, I agree that this is a problem that the Marvel movies don't quite know what their history is.
And Ant-Man kind of exists.
Oh, you're right. I gotta give you that. I was thinking, like, Captain America could be, like, a secret or, like, still, like, I guess him saying, like, I don't know if space aliens exist. I still can get to that. Where it's just like, our science has, like, reached super high. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean aliens are a thing. I can kind of follow that logic, but I have to concede. I forgot that Ant-Man is a thing that Nick Fury should know as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. As a high-ranking agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., apparently. Well, I guess he's just an agent.
But it was just something that, like, I don't know.
He might not know it, but I think I agree with you.
In a world with some of this, like, Marvel magic that I understand isn't, like, super, super well known, and, you know, it's fairly on Earth, and it's hard to put yourself in those shoes and, you know, whatever. But it just seems like, I don't know, like, science fiction still exists. And I feel like if science fiction still exists, and I was part of, like, this super secret thing that had a guy that could shrink and, like, all this stuff, and, like, the world as I knew it was not the... And maybe that's the difference, is that, like, this is the world he knows, as he knows it. And so, like, why would he think of space aliens or whatever? But it was just something that, like, why would... It didn't seem that far-fetched to me to be like, yeah, aliens exist. And maybe that's the hopeful in me that's just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if aliens existed?
Yeah, because I'm kind of trying to think, like, at this point, and I guess it's debatable how much he knew. He said he had a desk job, but I guess we don't really know what his rank is. It's debatable what exactly he knew, but at this point, at least S.H.I.E.L.D. in general knows that Red Skull existed, the Tesseract existed, which I guess he didn't know about the Tesseract, because that was news to him that when they went to space. That Ant-Man was a thing, and the Wasp, and
Goliath, which I guess is debatable.
I would say the Goliath was just part of that same experiment. That Captain America was a thing, which I may have already said. And then going off of Black Widow, whatever the communist Captain America is called, I can't think of his name, but you learn that he existed.
Winter Soldier.
No. But yeah, Winter Soldier too. Although Winter Soldier is debatably secret.
Yeah. No, I was saying that was communist Captain America.
No, there's Red Guardian. I knew it was red and something. Red Guardian exists.
Can we talk about... This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I was looking up the Skrulls, and the picture they use is them wandering out of the ocean on Earth. It's just fucking stupid. It's like, and I hate it. Also, their fucking home planet was Skrullos. I hate it.
We're Earthlings from Earthos.
I guess that's... I mean, we're Earthlings from Earth. I guess it's not that weird. It's just... How about
also, like,
Elias?
They're not Skrulls from Skrullos, but they're also something else. It's like in Star Trek, like the Vulcans are from Vulcan because there is only one race on each planet. It's only Earth that has humans. They're Earthlings, but a pig is also an Earthling.
What about the Florbigan? No, how about Skrulls? The Skrulls Eliases? How do you pronounce the show? Insidious shapeshifters, lizards, ugly bastards.
I don't know. Talos pretends to be Fury's boss. Fury and Carol go to the Project Pegasus base where they look up files on this doctor that she remembers.
Marvel.
And they learn that she is actually a Kree and that she was creating like a warp drive thingamajigger or something. And then they got to run away from the base because Nick Fury pagered Ben Mendelsohn. And then another just shortcut thing is they don't just steal a plane. They steal a super plane that can easily be modified by the Skrulls to go into space so that we can have the final act of the fucking movie.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, Nick Fury, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., is sitting there going, I can't imagine they would come from space. And then there was like a NASA S.H.I.E.L.D. Air Force base. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could go to, like, why would S.H.I.E.L.D. need to go to space if you weren't looking for threats?
But anyway, after that, they fly to Louisiana to find Maria Rambeau, which they very easily do because why not? The movie needs to happen.
I'm really intrigued by this.
I don't know. This is where we get a whole bunch of stupid backstory and crap that's just like told to us, and then the Skrulls show up and they go, "We're not bad. Listen to this black box." And then they listen to the black box, and it unlocks all of her memories, so she remembers everything. And then they go to space, and all the Skrulls are on a space ship, but then the Krees show up, and they're like, "What's up?" Oh, I forgot. There's the part where she, changes her costume, which is another, shortcut thing that I think is stupid. Where at the beginning it shows, they go into, an incognito mode where the suit turns all black. And, I get it. It's super science where, you can, have it change to whatever colors you needed. But they didn't, just, automatically did it earlier. And it's just an explanation so that she can have her properly colored costume later, but then she's like, "Here, kid, play around with this
just
thing
mash
and make
these
all my
buttons."
It's stupid, and it's just a stupid convenience thing, and I hate it. Especially because it happens immediately immediately before we get to the next scene when Jude Law shows up and then she's back in her old costume and it's like, that's obviously not her. And it's just like stupid. It's just a stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have that scene, and then when we see her in the spaceship flying away, that's when she's like, oh, well, I guess the kid's not on the spaceship, so they can't do the thing. But why not have them call home, and then the kid's like, I drew you a picture of what your costume should look like, and then she's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. I don't know. It's just stupid to show that she changes her costume, and then immediately go into a scene where we know that it can't be her because she's wearing her old costume, and that's dumb. And anyway, the cat is Lovecraftian monster, and it eats the Tesseract, which is just sitting on the spaceship, and it's the power source for the thing because everything's connected in the Marvel Universe. And then there's another stupid thing where, like, the cat eats the Tesseract, and then Carol's like, I'm going to pretend that I kept it in this lunch pail. And that's fine. But, like, the whole scene where she's fighting everyone, she keeps, like, dramatically looking at the pail, like, oh my gosh, they might get it. And I'm like, you know there's nothing in there. And the audience know there's nothing in there. And, like, I don't know, you're fighting these guys, they already believe it's in there, you don't need to sell it this much. I don't know, I just don't like this movie. And the final fight goes on forever. She gets, like, her superpowers, because she talks to the super intelligence, and it's like, don't believe in yourself. And then she says, but I do believe in myself. Here's a montage of me standing up. We hired 3 actresses to do it. And one of them only did it for one scene. And then she goes Super Saiyan. And then, I don't know, she, like, flies around a whole bunch and shoots a whole bunch of things. And I don't know, like, I don't like complaining about the super strong female character, because that's not the problem. But she's so powerful that it's like, there's no threat anymore. None of the Kree can do anything to her. Like, by the end, we see that, like, even, like, entire warships can't do anything to her.
Mm-hmm. She's so strong.
So it's like, why do I fucking care?
She's very powerful. She looks like a winner.
Like, at least Superman, like, I like Superman for other reasons, but, like, at least Superman, like, there's kryptonite or a red sun. Like, there are ways to make him weaker. Or, like, if you're making a good Superman story, you have a villain that he can't just, like, punch, like Brainiac or Mr. Mxyzptlk. I don't know. I really don't like ragging on this movie. I don't. It's not a good look for me. It's not really fun. I don't want to tell people that they liked it that it's not good, which is good that they're never going to listen to this.
To be fair, I've been saying for like the last 20 movies that I don't care for these.
I think they're all these
people can enjoy
fine.
What they would. I mean, I watch, like, weird shit.
In a vacuum, this movie's like fine. Like, it's fine. It's not good. Like, it's not well put together, but it's fine. Like, there's
it's not
interesting
offensive
stuff in it. Like, if we weren't watching every fucking Marvel movie and I just, like, sat down and watched this as a thing, it would be a movie that I watched and forgot, but I'd probably say, like, yeah, there's some fun stuff in it. Because there is, but it's outweighed by all the crap in it. And I think, like...
I mean, I think you made a good point at the very beginning of saying that, like, it feels like a movie that needs to be made to connect 2 movies together, or, like, retcon. It feels like a little bit of a retcon. It feels like, shit, how do we get out of this? We gotta make a movie. Like, it doesn't feel like Captain Marvel was a movie that they're like, let's make we have a story we want to tell. It's like, how do we, we need a Deus Ex Machina.
Like, I don't want to... When we watch Endgame, we're gonna talk about this.
I figured, yeah.
There is, like, this isn't a movie that needed to happen. Like, Captain Marvel, sure, I have nothing against her getting a movie, but this movie as it exists, it's not setting up anything. It has an explanation for why Nick Fury has the pager, and that's it. That's it. And honestly, like,
I wouldn't have cared
of the role she played. Like, she could just show up. It's fine. I don't need an explanation because it doesn't matter.
Well,
she could show up and say, like, I knew Nick Fury.
Even outside of that, like, I don't know, the Guardians of the Galaxy are involved, like, the galaxy is kind of involved. Like, Thanos removed half of the world. And
not even half of the world, half of the universe.
That's what I mean. Like that might be a good reason for Captain Marvel to come look for Thanos. Or like, hey, what was the source of this?
Anyway, I don't know, there's nothing really else to it. That's kind of the end. She leaves with the Skrulls to go find a new homeworld. She scares away Lee Pace, and then she leaves with the Skrulls. She no longer needs to wear a helmet in space.
I hate that helmet.
I don't care for the helmet, but it's whatever. But, like, they show her putting it on multiple times throughout the movie, especially even at the end. And then in the final scene, she's just like, I guess I don't need it. And I'm like, what exactly are your powers, lady?
Yeah, does her, like...
Like, not that I care. Like, if it was just like she can breathe in space, that's
fine.
But
they made such a big thing about, like, put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. I only breathed a little bit of the non-air here. And then, yeah, like, she has, like, concussive force blasts. Not, I guess you can, like, she just makes, like, a little atmosphere around her, I guess. I don't know. I learned about Skrull cows.
Yeah, you didn't know about those?
No, a group of Skrulls who initially tried to frame the Fantastic Four, but were eventually turned into cows and slaughtered.
And there's like a miniseries about people who ate burgers made from those cows.
I mean, why are we getting these stories? Why did we get this?
I think it's called like the Skrull Kill Crew or something. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of it. Bada bing.
Bada boom.
Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a put-down.
I am sorry, Andrew. I cannot do that.
You gotta.
I know. I'm going to say, okay, the research section of the SHIELD space base was kind of cool. I thought that was fine.
When the lights were turning on and off?
Yeah.
You're like, how are they doing that? No one's hitting any switches.
I was like, this is such a futuristic. This is past 90s tech. I don't believe it. No, I don't know. I thought there was some good stuff. Like, Coulson does the thing where he's like, get out of here, Nick Fury. I trust you. We're going to be in movies together. And there was some fine stuff there, as much as I hated everything. My second put up is going to be, I like the Mary stuff, but nothing really happens there, or the Marie stuff, but nothing really happens there. I am going to say what Kirsten mentioned to me that I don't think I noticed until she said it. But when they find the ship and go on board, and they're like, it's the Tesseract. And they're like, well, there's a cup of coffee here. You guys want that? That's pretty cool, too. And then they're like, look, the Skrulls that play pinball. We didn't get, like, a wisecrack joke. It, like, breathed. They, like, came out, and Bill Mendelsohn was like, let's rub our noses, let's do butterfly kisses. That's how Skrulls work. And, like, no one was sitting there and being like, wow, all these lizards touching the faces.
High praises.
My put down is, I don't know if I'm a No Doubt fan. I think Gwen Stefani is very talented. I think No Doubt is very talented. I think I Am Just a Girl is a fairly decent tune. But boy howdy, that was rough. That was a rough scene. And maybe it's just because I'm a white dude. Maybe as a dude, I just can't understand being just a girl.
My first put up is, I think a lot of the CGI in this movie does not look good.
No.
I think the aging down of Sam Jackson looks very good.
Yeah.
Granted, they didn't have to do a ton, but like, I mean, he does look legitimately younger. Like it looks good.
He's like Pulp Fiction. Well,
I think Clark Gregg doesn't look as great, but I think
they gave him like the little like pompadour-y thing.
But I think Sam Jackson looks good throughout this movie. And you know what? Not to just like burn 2 on the same thing, I'll put a little like 0.5 on my first put up here for. I think Sam Jackson is having fun in this, and I think he's fun in this.
You mentioning Bill Mendelsohn just chewing the scenery a bit. I think the better buddy cop movie is not.
At the end, they like seem like they become friends. There's like that scene where Nick Fury like kind of.
Well, after he gets shot, Nick Fury's like,
as he's like dying and then doesn't die.
Yeah, he's like, "Come here, friend." Or he's like, "Are you hurt, friend?"
My second put up. I mean, I don't know how to do anything but these cop outs. I think Ben Mendelsohn is having fun.
I wanted instead of Nick Fury and Brie Larson, it should have been Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn.
I can't believe all 3 of my put ups and put downs are going to be character specific, but my put down is I think Brie Larson.
There it is.
Captain Marvel is terrible.
Women, you can write to us at the Watchers of Earth 199 million.
I don't think women can carry a movie. I don't even want to put that in a way that could be cut out of context. How can you
think she's blatantly saying you don't think women can carry a movie possibly be taken out of context and used against you?
But like, I think.
I get it. You think women can't carry a movie? I got it. Who's the male lead in Black Widow that you loved so much? Oh, you know what I thought of? I thought of remember when Ronan the Accuser shoots missiles at Earth, and then Brie Larson is like, "I am Superman."
Yep.
I got some Iron Giant vibes there, and I thought maybe you would too, but you probably like Iron Giant more, and you're like, no. Stop talking about
Don't
this.
Sully Iron Giant.
Stop talking about. There wasn't any women in Iron Giant. It had to be good.
No, it's got his mom in it.
Okay, yeah,
his
she's a real
lot
character.
Of fun. Anyway, Seth, where did you put this in your total rankings of every Marvel movie ever?
Well, you'll be glad to hear that it is lower than. No, it's not. You'll be glad to hear that it is.
It's above the Hulk.
It is above the Hulk. The Hulk is so low, dude.
The Hulk is not low enough. I'm looking at your list right now, and you got 4 movies below it, and they don't deserve it.
You just hate seeing Civil War. There.
The Hulk is a terrible movie, and every movie you put, all 4 of these movies below it do not deserve to be there. You can put them immediately above it, I don't care, but the Hulk should be bottom of this list and never moves.
Thor: Dark World was way worse.
Anyway, where'd you put this?
I put this. This goes above Avengers: Age of Ultron. However, it's lower than Black Panther, which means it comes in at number 13. I don't remember any blue space lasers. I don't remember any slow motion circle pans.
You know what? I'm looking at mine. I didn't want to put it as low as I did.
You're putting it behind Incredible Hulk, aren't you?
No, absolutely nothing is going behind Incredible Hulk. I can't imagine that we will ever, unless we watch Suicide Squad. Actually, Suicide Squad will at least be more entertaining than the Incredible Hulk was.
I'm excited I'm not going to watch it, but I'm excited for Starro. I keep seeing like promotional stuff, and I'm just like, man, they're doing Starro. That's awesome. Good for them. Did I ever tell you that like someone I was playing hockey with had a purple starfish tattoo or like a pink starfish tattoo or whatever? I was like, oh my god, do you have a Starro tattoo? And she's like, what's Starro? This is like a sex thing. I was like, oh, I like comic books.
I don't do the sex.
I don't think you understand. I'm making a comic book thing.
Anyway, so I had it one space above, but then I decided, you know what? After talking about it, I have Captain Marvel at number 22, right above Incredible Hulk and below Thor. And the only reason it's at 22 and not 21 is because I have
steadfast again. Because the moment you put something underneath Incredible Hulk, I'm getting you.
Well, that and because I have Black Widow on my list now, so I actually have 23 things on my list. Cheating. 22, but I have Black Widow in number 5.
It doesn't.
And honestly, I was really debating whether it went above Winter Soldier or not, and I reserve the right to move it once.
What if it goes below? Actually, what if it goes below Incredible Hulk after we rewatch it, and you're just like, I just watched it. You're like, I watched this 2 weeks ago.
I've changed my mind, and women do not deserve their own movies. Put it at the bottom of the list.
I wish Black Widow was a man. Then it would be good.
Black Widower.
What?
Isn't that what a...
Urban Dictionary says pink starfish is a healthy anus.
That's cool. Anyway.
Also, pink Scarface is the act of a woman snorting cocaine out of a man's asshole.
This is super. Please stop looking things up.
Oh, wow. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher.
Seth, now that the mics are off, what are we watching next
Don't you notice the mics were off before I said that stuff? Well, Andrew, we're going to be watching not even the last movie of the Infinity Saga. We're going to be watching Avengers Endgame, the misnomered movie, because it should have been Spider-Man Far From the End. No, it should have been...
Is Far From Home still considered Infinity Saga? Mm-hmm. I thought it was the first movie after the Infinity Saga.
No, it is the last movie in the Infinity Saga.
I mean, I guess it is fallout from it, but not really.
We'll bring it up with Marvel, not Seth.
All right. Okay. Whatever. What do I fucking care? I just want to go to bed and dream of Power Rangers and witches.
Yeah. How cool would it be to dream of witches?